The biggest shift in my sewing journey started when I stopped asking just one question. Instead of asking, what pattern do I want to make? I started asking myself this question: what do I see in this garment? It made inspiration I saw in movies, on Instagram. It made them less intimidating and it made sewing so much fun. Welcome to this November, girl. Today, I want to share 5 mindset shifts that I made that made my sewing easier, my pattern hacking easier. Just 5 of them, no more than 5. The first mindset habit I changed was reading the garment first. So I don't start from the patterns this time. I start from the garments that I want to make. Let's say I see a dress out in the wild or in the store or in a movie or on Instagram. And the first thing I'm looking at is the construction of the dress. I'm reading the garment, I'm looking at the sleeves, what type of sleeves were used on this dress, where is the seam, does it have a waist seam, does it have a princess seam. I also look for things like the neckline, the skirt, and then I start thinking of patterns that can recreate this garment that I like. Do I need to hack a pattern? Do I need to hack 2 patterns, or do I can I actually make this without using any patterns? The second habit shift was thinking of patterns as building blocks. So now sewing patterns were not just me reading the instruction and following it from beginning to end. Sewing patterns were like building blocks. The bodice is one block, the back is another block, the sleeves are another block, sometimes ruffles, that's just another block. The type of skirt, is it pencil, is it straight, is it a 6-piece pattern skirt? All of these were information I got from the pattern and realizing patterns were pattern blocks. There's a story that I like to share. I was making some dresses, about 13 of them, and it was for a friend that was for a wedding party. And I needed to make these dresses. And I had taken this course. So I was like, oh, yeah, let me use the course. But it made the sewing process so tedious, so boring, 2 months, and I was still struggling with this. And I wasn't enjoying the process at all. And one of these days, I was having a chat with my mom. She was wondering, why haven't you finished these dresses? You don't take this long to sew garments. And I said, I'm just stuck and I'm really not enjoying the process. And she asked me this question. She said, you pattern hack a lot. Why aren't you doing that? And I was giving so many excuses, but I said, well, let me try that actually. So I looked through the inspiration for all the styles they wanted, and I thought, well, I can get this from here. I need this, I need this. And I just broke the inspirations down to patterns. I went to the fabric store and I started looking for exactly what I needed. I needed a bodice with princess seams, and I started looking for that. I needed skirts that had 6-piece patterns, and I started looking for that. By the time I left the store, I had all the blocks I needed to make the dresses. And you won't believe, in 2 weeks I finished 13 dresses just because I had the blocks I needed to make the process so much easier. And that's something I have added to my sewing process. The third mindset shift I'll talk about is sewing the dress before you sew the dress. So what I mean by this is visualizing what you want to make, not just all the inspiration. Visualize the steps of sewing. That's what I do. I visualize the steps that I'm going to take to sew the dress. I visualize the first pattern pieces that go with each other. And especially when I'm doing a hack, I know probably I've gotten the bodies from 2 different patterns. or the bodies from one pattern, the skirts from one pattern. So I visualize the steps from beginning to the middle to the end. I visualize what I need to do. Do I need to stabilize some places? Do I not need to do this? Where do I join the sleeves? Do I not join the sleeves? How do I make the sleeveless top neat? And I also visualize problem areas, and then I go through maybe the instructions from one of the patterns, and then just visualize how it will look. Will that work? Will that not work? Do I need to try another method that has not been, because of the hack is not in the instruction booklet? By the time I get to the sewing machine, I've more or less sewn the garment in my head. And because I've visualized it, this way I'm able to, my sewing process is easier, and I'm able to say, okay, I'm going to, this part of the sewing might be problematic, this part might not be, and go through the easy parts quickly and know where to join parts of the fabric. So yeah, that's the third mindset shift. The fourth mindset shift is this: there's really just one way to do everything. What do I mean by this? With sewing, it's fun to experiment. Methods are good. They teach you like new ways to do things, and it helps you to be efficient in your sewing. But it's not meant to keep you stuck in a box. It's meant to, when you learn methods from different sewing, like if you sew different patterns, you learn different methods. Sewing that sometimes you're scrolling through Instagram and you see a tutorial of the way someone finished the garment. That might necessarily not be in the instruction booklet, but these are all methods to make the garment you want. And instead of saying it's just this is the only way to do this, it makes you get stuck, and sometimes it just makes the process harder. So use the methods you've learned and apply them to your sewing. It will help you make the process easier. Truly, the goal at this point is to make something that you will wear and make it beautifully. The fifth and final mindset shift is asking a better question. Today, before I start sewing, I'm asking myself this question: what is the easiest and simplest way for me to get from inspiration to final garment? That's it. And this question alone helps me to make a decision on the pattern I'll use. Do I need one pattern? Do I need two patterns? Do I need to hack pattern? Do I need to draft something? Do I need a pattern at all? That's the fifth question I ask myself. That's like one of the most important questions I ask myself. What's the simplest way to make this garment that I want to wear? Looking back, really, I won't say my sewing has changed so much. What has changed really is how I look at the garment and how I treat patterns. Now I treat patterns as tools rather than rule books. So I'd like to know, do you start with a pattern or do you read the garment? Let me know in the comments below. And happy sewing. Remember to have fun sewing. Till next week. Bye.